Is red meat bad for you? If you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have said yes, without a doubt. I genuinely believed it caused heart disease, cancer, diabetes, inflammation. But looking back, I now believe that avoiding red meat for almost a decade of my life was actually one of the worst decisions I ever made for my health. And today I'm going to explain why. If you're new here, my name is Brianna, and I'm on a mission to help you transform your health and feel your best one step at a time. When I was younger, I watched a lot of documentaries about why red meat is supposedly bad for our health and the environment. And I think all of this fear-mongering propaganda had a profound impact on me. I was also influenced by a number of celebrities like Carrie Underwood, Natalie Portman, Kirsten Bell, all of whom follow a plant-based diet, look amazing, and are super successful. And back in my 20s, that's what I aspired to. Ironically, though, cutting out red meat from my diet caused my health to tank, which was the opposite of what I was hoping for. At the time, I was so brainwashed into believing red meat was bad that I didn't connect the dots, and I just assumed that my chronic fatigue, painful periods, acne-prone skin, brain fog, all of these symptoms were from other lifestyle factors. But looking back, I'm now convinced that removing red meat from my diet was a huge part of the equation. So today I'm going to break down the top 5 reasons why I believe all humans should be eating red meat. Red meat is hands down one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can eat, packed with protein and essential nutrients like B12, zinc, and iron in highly absorbable forms. And this is really the key because, sure, you can get these nutrients from other foods like beans, quinoa, and chickpeas, but a lot of these foods also contain anti-nutrients like lectins and oxalates, which can cause inflammation in your gut and make it harder for you to absorb nutrients from any foods. So if you're eating them in excess for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and not getting these highly absorbable nutrients from red meat, you're really putting yourself at risk of some major nutrient deficiencies. And again, inflammation is the root cause of all disease. So whether it's painful periods or chronic acne, brain fog, all of these things are rooted in inflammation. So avoiding foods that are going to perpetuate that is really important. Many vegetarian sources of protein are also high in phytoestrogens, especially things like lentils, tofu, nuts, and seeds. And these can disrupt our hormones and cause estrogen-dominant conditions like PCOS, endometriosis, and even certain types of cancer. So again, if you're eating small quantities, it's probably not going to cause a problem. But if you're solely relying on these foods to nourish your body, then that's going to be putting a huge strain on your liver to detox that excess estrogen. Number 2, red meat is one of the most anti-inflammatory foods you can eat. Now, if this goes against everything you've been told and you have a hard time believing it like I used to, just consider this. How many people in your lifetime have you ever met with an allergy to red meat? Personally, I can't think of a single one. And it's really interesting that over the last few years, the carnivore diet has exploded and so many people are reporting complete reversal of their chronic illnesses by only eating red meat. You may have heard of Michaela Peterson. She famously did a TED Talk talking about how the Lion's diet, which is only red meat, salt, and water, completely reversed her debilitating arthritis, depression, and anxiety only within a few months. And this was a chronic illness she had been suffering from the age of 2. And she's inspired a lot of other people to follow the same diet, and they're seeing the same results. So there's something to it. Even parents of autistic children say once they start only consuming red meat, they see huge transformations in their behavior, their cognitive ability, fewer meltdowns, and maybe that's because the neuroinflammation is being reduced by following this elimination diet. So anyway, I'm going to share some of these testimonials in the description below. So if you want to do your own research, it really is fascinating. But for me personally, this is one of the reasons why I try and consume red meat on a daily basis. I firmly believe it does lower inflammation and it makes me feel amazing. Number 3, humans are designed to digest animal foods. So unlike herbivores, we all have high stomach acid and produce a digestive enzyme called pepsin, which is required to break down meat. So if that's not proof that we evolved to be omnivores, I don't know what is. Humans also require vitamin B12, which is only available from animal food sources. So you actually can't be a vegan without supplementing. Otherwise, you're going to have a major nutritional deficiency because we can't produce vitamin B12 on our own. So it's much easier to just eat meat. You're going to get all those highly absorbable nutrients, and I promise you, you're going to feel your best. Number 4, there has never been an indigenous tribe in recorded history that did not eat meat. So as we all know, traditional cultures all over the world eat different foods. The Inuit up in the Arctic survived almost exclusively on an animal-based diet because plants were hard to come by. The Hadza tribe in Tanzania ate a variety of berries, tubers, honey, and meat. And the Native Americans ate primarily bison, fish, wild game. So all different foods, but meat was a staple for all of them. And even in tropical environments where huge varieties of plants were available year-round, none of these traditional cultures were ever vegetarian by choice. And I think that's really important to realize that this recent phenomenon of being either a vegetarian or a vegan is very new. And maybe there's some wisdom to be gained from our ancestors. Number 5, last but not least, red meat helps promote optimal development in children. So again, red meat has so many bioavailable nutrients, but especially B12 and iron. These two are really important during pregnancy and early childhood development. So many kids, unfortunately, just aren't getting enough because so many mothers are being told red meat is bad. And even myself, during my first pregnancy, I avoided red meat for the most part, and it's one of my big regrets. Thankfully, I learned all of this when my son was very little, so he's been eating a lot of red meat since he was about a year old. But yeah, it really is so important for their development, and not just cognitive and physical development, but their skeletal structure as well. So there was actually a dentist by the name of Weston A. Price who traveled the world trying to understand why some cultures had beautiful teeth with wide palates, very little tooth decay. And what he discovered was that these cultures were eating primarily animal-based foods compared to other cultures that had introduced more modern processed foods, refined grains. They were seeing a lot more tooth decay. And what he realized was that none of this is normal. If you look at skulls from 500 plus years ago, they all have their wisdom teeth. And this recent phenomenon of malocclusion, so underbites, overbites, recessed jaws, small jaws that can't even accommodate all 4 wisdom teeth, this is not the norm. It's actually a reflection of poor nutrition during critical stages of development and a lack of breastfeeding and things like pacifiers. I will be doing a whole other video on this topic because it's so fascinating. But if you haven't heard of Weston A. Price, I highly recommend checking out their website, the Weston A. Price Foundation. I will link it in the description below. They have a wealth of information and it's a tremendous resource. So that's it for today. I hope this video was helpful. Honestly, I'm just trying to share everything I wish somebody had told me back in my 20s. And maybe it'll prevent some of you from making the same mistakes that I did. If you have any questions, I would love to connect with you. Please drop them in the comments below, and I hope to see you in the next video.